This time on Rad Rat Comics, we're reading an issue of Green Lantern where a saleswoman sleeps with a client to the detriment of a school full of special needs children in this kid's comic book. Let's read it. Welcome back to Rad Rat Comics, a channel about comic books. You find me in my set for my main channel, my skateboarding channel. I'm in the basement here, and it's about 100 degrees outside, so it's a little cooler in here. I don't have to have air conditioning blasting and messing up the audio. That's why I'm in here. But so we're looking at an issue of Green Lantern. This is number 71 with a very dramatic cover. I'm the most powerful man on Earth, yet I'm powerless to save the city from dying. And just to catch you up real quick with what's been going on, Hal Jordan got dumped by his girlfriend Carol, and she was also his boss, so he quit, and he's been doing different jobs all over the country. He's been an insurance sales adjuster, or he's done different jobs at an insurance company, and now he's a toy salesman. So let's see what his latest adventure is. In Solar City, Florida, Hal Jordan, salesman for the Merlin Toy Company, pays a surprise visit to a school for handicapped children. The youngsters are grateful for your donation of sample toys, Mr. Jordan. They're also grateful for your interest in them. We don't get many visitors. Have you had much to do with handicapped children before? No. By chance, my hotel overlooks the school, and I couldn't help noticing the children here, how gamely they try to play and learn like other kids. Too bad there aren't a lot more like you. As you see, conditions here are in a sorry state due to lack of funds. We could use a new school building for these kids. They deserve it. I wish I could help, and maybe I can. As Green Lantern's alter ego drives off, goodbye, please come back again soon. My boss promised me a bonus if I sold our line to the Wilson chain stores in Solar City. If I close the deal, I'll turn the money over to the school director and kick off a campaign drive to raise a new school building. But selling Wilson won't be easy. I'm up against stiff competition in the person of Olivia Reynolds. The competition won't be the only thing stiff in a minute, but first we see Hal Jordan and the other saleswoman in the office of this guy. They're trying to sell him their toy lines. She allows Hal to go first, and so he shows all of the spaceships and rockets and things like that. That's the toy line he's trying to sell. And so she's not concerned, even though his presentation went well, and now it's up to her. Coincidentally enough, this year Peerless Toys have also come out with Toys of the Future. But I have a new wrinkle. What's she doing? I figured a saleswoman selling future toys ought to look like a woman from the future, so I designed this little outfit. Little? I can hardly say she's exaggerating. I am sure you'll agree, Mr. Wilson, that there's nothing Mr. Jordan has to match what Peerless has to offer. At the end of the demonstration, how about having dinner with me tonight, Mr. Wilson? We can discuss business over a steak. Sorry, Mr. Jordan, I was just about to ask Miss Reynolds out to dinner. I'll see you tomorrow and announce my decision. So yeah, that's what happens. Hal is trying to make a big sale so he can help out a bunch of children. And this saleswoman takes off all her clothes and goes out on a date with the owner of the company instead. It doesn't say that she had an amazing line of toys. It doesn't even show her displaying any of the toys. She just strips in front of him, and then they go out together. So is Hal going to come through at the end and make the sale? I guess we'll find out. But first, something very strange happens. My motor stopped, went dead, just like that. Gas is okay. What's the hang-up? Can't see anything wrong. I'm almost tempted to use my power ring to propel the car to a garage, but of course any such personal use of the ring is forbidden. I'll have to walk like any Joe when you get stuck, huh? All those other cars conked out too? I just had my car tuned up, shelled out $30 for a new battery. Beats me how all those cars could stop dead at the same time. Look, no traffic lights. Neon signs aren't working. It's a power blackout. Okay, so keep in mind this is the early 70s at the time. If electricity stopped working while your car was already started, would it stop working? I can't see why. Like, the battery is used to start the engine, but once it is, then it's using, whatever. Everything that has electronics in it has stopped working. We'll eventually find out that even people's brains, like old people, just start dropping because the energies in their brains start slowing down. So everything dies at the same time. Hal has to like hike back to his hotel and charge up his ring. I don't know why it's not charged. He brought the lantern, but he didn't charge it. I think they ran out. There's a whole page of this little snippet of the story. I think what happened is they came out with the story, they drew it up, and they realized they're a page short. And so they just threw in this little excerpt, this little cut in right here of how he had to go charge his ring. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But let's see what he does. Hal goes to the police headquarters and they tell him about the hospital, how all their backup generators have failed. So he flies over to the hospital and he starts up their generator, which is enormous. And he sets it up with his ring so it'll keep running. But he says that there's no way that he could power the entire city. So he's got to figure out what's going on. But before then, he sees a robbery in progress. A gang of crooks attacking that stalled armored car. They've knocked out the guards. It's Green Lantern. Can't squander my weakening ring power, so I'll use my fists on these rats. Jump him, all together. For an instant, the green-clad gladiator almost disappears under the onslaught, but then, with a mighty twist of steel-hard shoulders, yow! Phew, you dirty rats could use a deodorant, but you won't have a chance to get so close to me again. Of course, I intend to get close to you, but only for a moment. There are no paddy wagons operating to cart these KO'd crooks off to jail, so I'll have to do it myself. Can't act as a one-man rescue squad indefinitely. Green Lantern does this a lot, and I think it's like an ego thing, where he finds an excuse to not use his ring to just instantly defeat the bad guys. It has 24 hours of charge when he charges it in the battery, but he says that because of the weakening power, like his ring is getting weak too. So to conserve power, he's just going to fight these guys, but he does that all the time. You know, sometimes he just straight up says that he's mad, and so he's not going to use his ring just so he can beat people up. He just loves it. He just loves dominating other men. That's his thing, whatever. But it's kind of weird. Like, this whole city is going to fail. You see the cover, like it's the biggest disaster in the world. He's going to stop to make sure an armored car doesn't get robbed. Okay, I think his priorities are a little bit off. It's just money. You know, the guards are knocked out. They didn't kill anybody. Whatever, he should just let them go. But he doesn't. And as he's dropping them off, this is when he sees old people starting to collapse. And he figures he's really got to stop doing this little stuff and figure out what's going on. Got an idea. Maybe I can pinpoint the source of this phenomenon by using my ring as a detector. If it's coming from outer space, the effects should become stronger. Strange. Up here, the effects are weaker. I can feel the difference. But if the blackout isn't coming from above Earth, where is it coming from? Hither and yon darts the grim ring wielder, gathering data. Weaker here, stronger, very strong, weak. A picture of the true situation is beginning to form. A kind of fever chart of the mysterious blight gradually takes shape. According to my ring, the lines of maximum effect all point to the same place. A single spot just about 40 miles beneath the Earth's crust, right under Solar City. I'm going to blast my way down there in a power dive. Down, down, down plunges the green-clad figure under the impulse provided by his mystic beam. Under ordinary circumstances, this would be a cinch, but the further down I go, the more willpower my ring needs to make it work. When suddenly, I've burst out into a great cave, and at the bottom, a huge fiery pit. At the exact spot analyzed by my ring, a fissure, a jagged opening in the solid earth, filled with boiling metal giving off enormous heat, waves of radiation. GL's invincible will impels his faltering ring to an all-out effort. Gotta close that pit, seal it off. The fantastic heat seeping through my energy aura can't withstand it much longer. Calling upon his final dregs of psychic energy, the Emerald Gladiator hurls huge chunks from the sides of the cave, toppling into the seething, pulsating cauldron. Filled up the opening, blocked it off with a mountain where the pit used to be. He flies back up to the surface, and all the cars, all the streetlights, and everything are back to normal. So, what happened? There was lava in a cave. He had to cover the lava for electronics to work again. But there is 40 miles beneath the earth. So the lava is covered by 40 miles of earth. But it needed to be covered by 40 miles and like 10 feet of rocks. Were they special rocks that had to cover the lava? Like, was it because lava touched the air that was in that cave that created a radiation that shut down? Like, it made cars not work? there have been a couple of stories where Hal is in a city and cars just stop driving. But this is because a cave got a little bit bigger and it needed to be a little bit smaller. That's what happened here. There's no villain except for the other salesperson. There's no villain. It's just some lava got exposed underground. That's what did it. I feel like they made zero effort to explain this story. There's no reason why anything in it happens. But that's just the B plot. Let's get back to the main story here. Now I've got to get back to normal. Report back to Mr. Wilson as Hal Jordan the first thing this morning. Sorry, Mr. Jordan, our order has gone to Miss Reynolds. While I was battling to save the city, she was sewing up the deal. What bothers me most of all, though, is that those handicapped children won't be getting their new building. Okay, so Hal and Miss Reynolds here were leaving the office at the same time, or she may have stayed. I don't know what time it was. They were going to meet up for dinner. And Hal's car broke down like right outside. So she didn't go very far. The power went out. Everything electronic stopped working. They still went out for dinner together. I don't think so. What restaurant was open? Everyone was in a panic. No one could get anywhere. It was chaos. People were falling. Like, this guy is old. Old people were losing their mental powers and collapsing onto the ground. But Hal worked all night because it says this morning the sky is bright. Hal worked on this all night, came back to meet him, and she was there in the morning, and he's got a big smile on his face. They haven't explained anything, but you know what happened, and I know what happened. And it has hurt some children who needed a new school. But that's not the end of the story. Later, Green Lantern answers a public summons to appear before the city council. And the council has voted you a substantial reward, Green Lantern, for saving Solar City. Reward, but I never accept, as long as you have allocated the money, I have a suggestion. Still later, as Hal Jordan leaves Solar City, GL's reward went as an anonymous donation to start a new school fund. I failed to sell my line of future toys, but at least I've given those kids a better future. The end. Okay, so it all turns out well in the end. Hal Jordan is the best person in the world. He spends all his time helping children and donating money and doing all this kind of stuff, and it all turns out great, and the kids are taken care of, and it's all fine. But the story is about how he needed to sell toys to help kids, but another saleswoman seduced the owner of the company. Meanwhile, some lava touched some air 40 miles below the earth, which destroyed all the electronics. Like, it's baffling what happened in this story. I can't even explain, it doesn't make sense. It just kind of was written page by page, and however it turned out, they just ran with, first draft only, go. Nothing, it's the worst. This one, I think, was more on the side of so bad it's bad and not so bad it's good. You know, when there's a character who can create gold and he wants to steal a gold mine, that is so silly and ridiculous that it's funny. But we're starting to get into an era where things are more realistic in a way, but that means that the ridiculous stuff just stands out even more. So that's what I had for you this time. I will be back soon with some more comic book stories, and I will see you then. Thanks for hanging out.